Hi everyone, it's 12th of Feb. I'm going to sow these sweet peas, the Hildas mix. I've already filled these trays up with compost. It's just a bit of multi-purpose compost with some leftover seed compost and some vermiculite, and it's just a mix of what I already had in the polytunnel, so I thought I might as well use it up. Don't need anything fancy for it. There's a few other things I'm going to sow, like my onions and peppers, but we'll start off with these sweet peas. These are 40 cell trays. You can do them in a single pot, with 2 or 3 seeds in a single pot. There's no real set method. You can sow them direct. They are fairly hardy. So what I've done with my mix, first of all I need to thank everyone who's asked for the seeds. Hopefully you've all received them, because they went in the post quite a bit ago, so you should all have them by now. And all I've done is, the seeds that I've sent out, you've got a mix of this, last year's batch. So what I've done here is I've got obviously the last 3 years. There's three different seasons there, what's left. So I've just taken a mix of each, mixed them all together. I've soaked them for a couple of days really, because some of them were quite small, and they're pretty dry. So I soaked them till they did noticeably swelled up a little bit, just to speed this germination process up. Because if your compost is a bit too damp, it might rot off. But at least this way, you just got damp compost. They've taken a bit of water in. They should have started, the whole cycle of waking up again. You'd probably just take a week to 2 weeks off the actual germination time. With a bit of luck, but you don't have to. People nick the seed or soak them and all that, but you don't have to. You can just bung them straight in, give them a good drink, and they'll do all right. I did do a tester with them. I sowed 15 seeds, which I've still got. I just sowed them in like a little thing like this. I thought I'd test the seed from last year's batch. I sowed 15 and 11 came up. So germination was okay, really. Because I sowed made sure I sowed a good percentage of quite small ones that looked a bit like, they weren't great. So I thought, well, I'll do a mixture of them. But overall, you should get more than half germinate anyway. So we'll get on with that. Also, filled these trays up. I've dipped some holes. They're probably about 1 centimetre deep, really. I couldn't find a big enough dibber at the time, so when I popped these out, so just found this paintbrush. Use the end of that. Just kind of just went along, dipped it down. I thought I wouldn't bother videoing that because it's a bit boring watching someone stamp a load of holes. And then got my sweet peas. So it's simply just a mixture of obviously the 2017, which is the year my mum passed. Was diagnosed with cancer. Then it was 2018 that she passed away, and then there was 2019 batch. So these are the 3 years, and I'll do the same this year. I'll take a pick of this year, and this year's seed will be a kind of cross pollination of the 3 previous seasons. So it just keeps the mix a bit more original. I obviously think that certain strains will take over naturally, but keep putting a bit of a mix in, it will be okay. So we shall get on with these. Flickering a light there. Right, so just simply dropping them in. As you do. There's no real fancy method of it. What I'll do, I think I'll move the camera a little bit closer, and then you can see a little bit better. Right, you should be able to see things a little bit better now. See where I'm up to. I had a look down the plot today when I finished work, so I was working quite close to it, so I thought I'd go and have a check, see if there's any storm damage, because it's been a real windy and wet February so far. So yeah, it's very boggy. Luckily no real damage that I could tell of. Obviously the fence still needs sorting out and all that lot. I'll get around to that. Just no real point doing anything at the moment. You know, the garden is a bit of a mess. I'll drop 2 in there. Not that it matters, I don't think, as long as I've got enough seeds here. I thought I might as well start sowing some things. And hopefully, while these are all growing away, the season will start to shift with a bit of luck. I want it to be a little bit early with things this year, but so to speak, life gets in the way a little bit. You know, but you tend to think that, oh, I need to get going, but there is still time. It's just that the preparation I like to try and get done early if I can. Well, the previous year if possible. That was a good shot that went in that one there. But I got a little bit busy at the end of last year. I didn't get down to my plot before the bad weather came. You know, and inevitably you pay the price a bit for it. The following year you need to get it all done. Because as soon as you start sowing seeds, you kind of on a time span then to get the ground ready. I mean, these sweet peas aren't, you know, they're not a real issue. So things in the back garden aren't really an issue because it's just sort of out there, and it's not really on mega boggy land. I've got a few seeds left there, and as I say, you can see the difference in sizes. You know, it's quite. I mean, that one there. That one's about the size, you know, when they're not soaked, you know, compared to some of these big ones. They've taken the water on. They're not sprouting, this is just part of the pod that they came out of. You know, I can leave them and they'll dry up and they'll shrink back and they'll be fine, you know, to store. I never really had much issue with sweet pea storing them. Give them a bit of a soak to wake them up. Like I say, get people nicking them with a knife and all sorts to start them off. You don't have to. You don't even have to soak them. It's not something I've always done, it's just now and then I've soaked them. That's all them filled in. Give a bit of a tap down, make sure everything's down at the bottom. And then got some multi-purpose compost here. Pretty much the same stuff, just I've run out of the seed compost. So this, because I mix the 2 together because, you know, one was a little bit more fibrous, and it's just handy when you've got these small modules if there's a bit fibrous stuff, so when you pop the actual seedling out, it's all kind of held together okay. Just a case of just sprinkle it over, and then I'll wipe it about in a minute. You know, so there's plenty of sweet peas here. You know, 120 altogether. It sounds a lot, but I have the net that I have that's sort of over 3 fence panels, so it's an 18-foot net. So it does require quite a few. And I always sow more than I need. You know, because I have a couple of friends who grow stuff, and the amount of times I remind them, you know, oh, it's time to start now. But, plus if they have any problems, at least I might have some backups. I suppose if you get a friend who's new to growing, if you've got a few seedlings, it get some going. Seedlings, they never get wasted really, seedlings. Some do, you know, some of you, they dry out a bit too much or they're not ideal. So they kind of get slung away. So this compost underneath was pre-watered. Because the actual trays have been filled for a little while, because I've been a bit tied up in the polytunnel. So I thought, well, I'll fill them up, save me a job. And they dried out quite a bit, to be honest. So I gave them another good watering a couple of days ago. Just handy, I think, you know, when you water them and they get a bit of chance to settle through. Any excess gets to drain through. And all I'm going to do with these, I've got some propagator lids. Is I'll pop them on the windowsill. Just until probably most of them have just started to crack out the top. You know, germination has officially happened on the majority, and then they'll go out in the polytunnel. Just to speed this process up, you know. And obviously if you have a really hard frost when, you know, you've got the seedling there, it might not like it. It's not like when it's in the ground, it's got the earth to warm it, but in a tray on a shelf, if it's damp and it freezes, I don't think the seed's going to be too happy about it. I'm just going to give it a quick wetting down just to settle that over the top. When you put the lid on, the moisture will sort of humidify around it. So it should end up, fingers crossed, an average sort of even. There's probably not enough water in this bottle, but just get a little bit more. A little spray here will do. Everything's been sort of stood at the same temperature. You know, so there's no freezing cold water to going on. Shocking. So that's the sweet peas, the Hildas mix, and like I say, thanks to everyone who's asked for some seeds to grow, you know, and sort of keeping my mum's memory going. It's just nice knowing that they're growing all over the country, you know, and it just goes to show, you know, the YouTube is a bit of a community, you know, and people out there do generally care, you know, it's nice. That's them done. So next thing I think will be, I'll do some peppers next I think. I didn't do any peppers last year from seed. I did them, I bought a couple of plants. Just cover my kitchen in a seed tray over. I'll deal with them later on. Right. Then, make sure you can see. Yeah, not too bad. Right, so what have we got here? Got some freebies with a magazine. These ones are Attitude Orange, Thompson Morgan, DT Sweet Pepper Bullhorn mix and Apache F1. How many of these actually get used and make the grade at the end, I don't know. I've not even planned my whole spacings for things this year. I'm just going to sow stuff, and I'm actually hoping to try and really grow quite intensively this year. But the year always changes as you go along. So let's see if I can get into the packet. Maybe packet like that for about 10 seeds. Oh well. And they're not even enough one either. Right, so look. You're gonna lay same exactly the same compost I use for my sweet peas. This. I'll just set these on top of the compost. So like I say, it's all been pre-watered. There's 6 of them. It's quite handy because I just found a label here, so at least I can edge them over its head. Just to give them a little bit more space. Let's say as soon as these are about an inch or so high and the first leaves have opened fully out, well, the seed leaves, I'll prick them out. Because sometimes when you sow peppers and chilies and that, they germinate quite quickly, and then they grow a little bit, and then they tend to not do anything. They just stay like these little small plants. But I think it's just they're putting a good root growth out, so when the season gets ready and the first sign of any heat, they're off. Right, so that's that one, and then we'll do the sweet pepper mixed. I'm not sure I've done these before. I see a problem with the DT browns. There's no picture on the packets, but yeah, it is in the catalogue. I've used DT browns for the last couple of years now, to be honest. Just find it easier to go on one side rather than chasing around. Apart from my big carrots, I get them from I think it's Medwin's in Anglesey. Same again for these. Do about 6. You know, I've tried over wintering peppers and things like that, but it's just peppers like a long growing season. Yeah, so they are something you could start right in January, but nevertheless, you still get something. You know, don't expect them to grow all multicoloured and that, because that won't tend to happen. Right, so I'll make sure I get my labels ready, because I've got a habit of turning trays and I'm thinking, oh, which one's which. Right, actually I'll get this other tray, otherwise we're making an absolute mess everywhere. Right there. And I have got somewhere some vermiculite. I'm just going to cover them with vermiculite, just so I can't see the seed. So, you know, a good few mil on top. Nice and easy for the seed to push its way through. Little label, and just try and level it out a little bit. So I don't need much on at all. And hopefully within about a week they should be up. They do like it fairly warm to germinate. they're fine on a windowsill. I just find sometimes when they're right near the glass, it's a little bit cooler. Surprisingly, you know, you can go down to 12, 13 degrees there. It seems to be okay for, you know, cabbages and stuff like that, I don't mind, but sometimes I just notice the back row nearest the glass, you know, in some trays struggles. Right, so stick a label in, point it out that way. It's supposed to be a permanent marker, this Sharpie, but some cheap ones. Get my little spray, just dampen that down. Problem with a Mickey Light, you have it on a bit of a powerful jet, it can just lob it off everywhere. We don't want that. It's more mess to clear up. So that's them two done. Next ones we have the Bullhorn and the Apache. I don't think I've ever done the Bullhorn. I've done Apache before, I think. A long time ago though. About 8-9 years ago I did Apache, I think. Days before I had my YouTube channel. You know, I was going to do some chilies in that. I might still do. I've got some of my own seed, some Prairie Fire. I've not grown for a few years. I've got my own seed that I saved. You know, still be viable probably. So it's surprising, you know, how viable seeds are. Instead of throwing them away, we'll try your luck with them. It's just things like parsnips that are really. Sometimes carrots, they like a, you know, fresh seed. Other than that, I mean, I've sown tomato seeds that are 6 or 7 years old. I've sown a couple of tomatoes, just some tester ones. My missus bought some tomatoes from the supermarket. Little cherry ones called Piccolo. I said they were alright for shop tomatoes. So the problem when you've had homegrown and when it comes to winter time and you're having a shop bought, it's just so tasteless. No comparison at all. It's just absolutely tasteless. So I left one to go like really overripe and took the pulp out of it with the seeds. Got about 40 seeds out of one tomato. Stuck 5 in a pot, and 5 germinated. So I thought, well, see how they go. I'll probably, if I do any of these peppers, maybe a couple of each will actually be grown on long term. Gives me a bit of an element for any seeds that don't germinate, and then I've got an option to give a couple. My brother-in-law grows quite a bit. So you're watching, Mike? Hope you got started. Right, Bullhorn that side, Apache that side. I think I'll have a cup of tea before I do my onions. Right, we'll get on my onions. I'll do the same as I did last year. Got my Santero F1 and the onion Red Spark F1. Both good stories. I've still plenty left of the Santero and some of the Red Sparks. They're still storing okay. I haven't got many Red Spark left now though. There's probably about 6, 7 left. So same compost as everything else. Been through, dipped some holes in that one. just kind of, maybe 5-10 mil deep. I started using these little, really small cells again last year. Because I'm hoping these will be going out, getting planted out sort of second week of April, something like that. So I need to get a good bit of root growth on them, and then it helps hold the whole plug together. Otherwise you get the big, like what I've sown my sweet peas in, you can pull them out and they'll actually leave most of the compost behind. What I found easy is let them run a little bit on the dry side just before. It kind of shrinks a little bit, the compost, so it makes it a little bit easier. I just go underneath the actual tray with the dibber and just push each one up, and it just pops them up. And it's just a case of dib the holes 6 inches apart or something like that, and just shove them in. So these little trays have got about 48 in each. I'm doing one tray of red spark, 3 of Santero. I do have another variety called Kappa I might grow, I don't know yet. So these are last year's seed days. I've got some new ones, but I thought, well, I'm not going to lob them, I might as well use them up. It's a bit fiddly, this, one seed at a time like, but so I only sow these once a year, unless it is an absolute fail. And you can sow them direct if you want. Just if I can get a little bit of extra growth on them, not so bad, because my plot gets mithered with rust and mildew and stuff. But these Santera are pretty mildew resistant, to be honest. These seeds have got like an anti-fungi coating on them, so I don't know whether the new ones have. So I guess we shall find out. But also all the onions exactly the same, apart from spring onions, which will be coming shortly. Well, cabbages and tomatoes, peas, we'll all be getting there ready soon. And first early potatoes in pots, they'll be getting done in the next week or so, I should imagine. So it's a bit of a fiddly thing, this. Not something you want to be doing outside in the wind anyway. I just found when you're sowing onions direct, which, the old-fashioned way I used to do, it was a bit of a nightmare, because before I went all no dig and used to just direct into the soil, you'd be going down and having to weed, and you'd be like, what's onion and what's grass and weed, and you're just disturbing them all the time. I just find this way there's no real disturbance as such. They grow straight in here. When you pull them out, they don't really get disturbed or anything, because you bring the compost out with them and they go into a nice little dibbed hole, and they can just get on with the growing then. The other one of these have got a bit more in than one, but never mind. Be good to see though. I mean, these seeds they're still in date. And then the new pack, so see if these have got the coating on, or is it just like a plain black? Let's have a look. Oh, they're just plain these. This is what they look like without the coating on. Same seed supplier and everything, just a different year. It's a bit hard to see in this colour. I think that's got all them. So I'll show these, but I'm just going to repeat the same process with the other trays. Red Spark have done exactly the same. I think they're all sort of down. Yeah. And then I'm going to have a Mickey like these. Got a bit of light through and it helps it push up. You know, sometimes it's good to give them a bit of a drink from the bottom, you know, if you're not pre-watered. That's what I did last year, and a couple of times before I've done that, I've put them actually in the module trays and then just stood them in a tray of water until it starts going dark and they've soaked up all that they need. Then just put them on something to drain. It's always it's just risky because it's always easier to add water. It's very hard to take it away. You know, sometimes I've done it where I've put it on some kitchen roll or newspaper just to try and get as much of the water back out as I can. You know, you've had a bit of a whoopsie daisy on it, because it does happen. It's just something you can't really teach watering. It's just something you get the sort of gist of. Just making sure, just tapping these down lightly because make sure the actual seed's in good contact. You don't need to be like heavy-handed with them. You know, because I've seen some people that are really forcing the compost in, and you don't need to do all that. I think, you know, compost doesn't compact the same as soil. I mean, I'm going a bit over the top here being neat, but that's just me. And then I'll try not to spray the camera. And just going to lose a bit of a wetting up. I'll need to make sure the compost has got ample amount of water, because onion seeds are quite hard, and don't be impatient. Sometimes it can take 3 weeks to pop up. And that's the lump of my compost there, to get rid of that. So that's the onions done. That's it for this video. That's all of my sweet peas, my peppers and my onions. I've just got to finish this last couple of trays of onions off and then clear up. So again, thanks to everyone who's asked for the Hilda's mix of sweet pea. It's really nice that you're going to grow them. And like I say, those who've got my email address, send me any pictures or footage of them, or if you see one of the videos, put a comment down with the links. I'd love to see them growing elsewhere as well. It's just I don't get a chance to sit down and watch a lot of YouTube like I used to, really. I'm so behind on many gardeners. I just now and then I'll nip on, I'll have a look at a few. So as and when I get a chance, or if I'm at dinner at work, I'll have a quick view and see how Nige and Terry, Dave and that are getting on. And Dan. But it'd be nice to see how they grow. I just don't think they always do okay for me anyway. So that's it for this video. So thanks for watching. Take care. And if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. And thank you. And we'll see you next time. See you now. Bye.